Hi, welcome back. Welcome to a new video. And yeah, first video of 2020, and I wasn't planning on filming this. I was just doing off-camera replacing the touchscreen part in this Nintendo DS Lite, and swapping it over from a second one I got. Just trying to combine two into one effectively and to get one working. I had a few issues with getting the ribbon cable back in. But yeah, since then, we've hit a slight problem. It won't turn on anymore. So yeah, I thought I'd turn the camera on, bring you along, and we'll have a look and see what the best option is. Now, before we get started on this, I'd just like to say a big thank you to my sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay offer a high-quality manufacturing service from standard prototype boards to flex-rigid PCBs and even assembly. Why not take advantage of their $5 welcome voucher and get your first prototype boards free? Already have an open source PCB design? Join their shared projects area where you can list your design for sale, and PCBWay will donate 10% of the PCB cost to you as a way of saying thank you for your contribution to the open source community. Links are in the description below. So I've got this kind of half together. All I've got attached so far is the top screen, and I'll try and show you what's going on here. So if I get the battery and hold it in, you may be able to see when we try to turn this on that the green light comes on and then the top screen flashes briefly. If we connect the bottom screen, that one flashes briefly. It was working fine before, apart from the touch screen part of it not working. So I can't think what I've actually done. This connector is really awkward trying to get this in. I did end up having to chop the end of the ribbon cable off because it was getting so badly damaged. But I mean, looking at the actual end of the cable, it looks fine. There's no obvious sort of signs that anything's sort of shorting out on that, so I can't think why it suddenly decided not to work when it was working fine before. But yeah, so because I've got this second one here, which is what I borrowed the screen out, this one's got a bad hinge on it, so I think the best option is probably going to be to take this board out and put it in here. Hopefully that will do the job. This board also was working, so fingers crossed it still works. Yes, I've checked the batteries. I've got two batteries, they're both fully charged, and yeah, still got the same issue for some reason. Now the only problem with these boards transferring over is that the little antenna wires, the black one runs underneath the card slot, and it doesn't look like you can actually get that wire through without sort of unsoldering this card slot, or at least unsoldering it at the ends and lifting it up. I don't think these wires matter too much because I don't think many of the games support any of that kind of not so much Wi-Fi connection, but kind of connection between two different consoles. This is obviously an old device. I just thought, well, I had a couple of them lying around. If I can get one to work, might be able to get a few quid on eBay for it. But yes, this is the issue I've encountered. So I think what we'll do is we'll see if we can get this this board out of here, and just pop that catch up there. A lot of these ribbon cables are a bit of pain in the neck to get in and out, but yeah, it's definitely that one for the touchscreen that seems to be causing a lot of issue. You virtually need a really good microscope to see what you're doing to get it in correctly, and was damaging the end of it. But at no point in doing that had I powered it on, so I don't really know what's the issue here with this. So as you can see here, this little black cable doesn't want to fit underneath this card slot. It gets stuck in the corner there. So I think what we're going to do is probably, hopefully it's not held down with too much solder, maybe to just lift it a little bit and put it through, and then do the same with that board there. Right, I've got the soldering iron on and heated up. Let's just see, we might need some flux on this. Let's get that cable out of the way there and just see if this will yeah, that melts pretty easily. So hopefully if we can get let's try using this spudger here and just try and get it in underneath somewhere. Yeah, it's still quite tight to the board. What else can we use? I don't mind if I damage this board, as it doesn't look like it's really working anymore either, but like I say, don't want to damage the new one, so whatever method we use, we want it to work reliably enough. Okay, that seems to have raised it up a bit in that corner there. Just see if that cable will slide through now, or whether we're I mean, it won't slide through the other end obviously, but might be able to save having to sort of completely unsolder both the edges. Yeah, so I can get that a little way through. So I'm thinking, yeah, if we tackle this side, I think, and remove some solder on that side. Again, I'll just wedge it with, I can probably use a spudger for this now actually. And just apply a bit of force to it, just so that when we melt the solder, hopefully the cart slot lifts up a bit, like so. And there we go. Now we got our cable out. So we need to do the same thing on the other board. Remove that black cable, and then I'll push this one through, and we'll start assembling this board into this housing. Okay, so I've got that ribbon cable on the back connected, and I've got this wire through here. Now these shouldn't need to be connected to make anything work. I just want to simply see now, before we mess about with trying to get the touchscreen back on again, does this board have the same issue? It certainly shouldn't do, because all I've done is just move that wire through. So we'll gingerly open that. Make sure nothing's shorting out of the back, which it's not. Alright, battery lined up. Interesting. And that is doing exactly the same thing, so I'm really quite puzzled by this. I can say these batteries should be fine, they were pretty much fully charged. So is there something that's stopping this from powering on? Yeah, exactly the same issue with that battery as well. So that makes me think that I haven't actually damaged anything on that board. I don't see that I've damaged anything with the ribbon cables, because if you disconnect the top display, it does the same thing as well. So I'm going to double check these batteries have actually got charge in them, and we'll take it from there. Right, I've checked the batteries. They were both sitting at about 3.8 volts, so I can't see that being too low to cause a problem. But I have just left this one on charge, so it's got enough charge to be fully charged. So we're going to pop that one in and see if that makes any difference. Nope, it doesn't. So I'm a bit puzzled by this. The only thing I can think is that it needs to detect that both of the LCD screens are connected. However, I did have that in the situation before I started filming, that I did have both screens connected. The only questionable one was that connector there for the touch screens. So is it sensing, if it doesn't get the right, trying to sense if the touch part of it was actually connected, and if that wasn't fully connected properly, that caused the issue? Not too sure. So I think what we're going to need to do is get that this screen connected back up again, and this is a right pain in the neck. Like I say, I have clipped the end there. It should be fine. It's still got the enough contact, sort of gold area on there to make contact. It's just very, very difficult to actually get it in place. So I'll get that one in. I'm not going to bother putting you through having to watch me do that, because it is a right pain in the neck to do. And then once that's connected back up, we'll come back and see if that's made any improvements. Okay, so that one is now connected up. I'm still a bit concerned about this connector. It wasn't too bad getting it in, but it doesn't go in very far. Now, I did have to trim the end off, but that mainly comprised of some little tabs that came out. Probably as just part of the lock-in mechanism for it. But nonetheless, we will try again and see if there's any improvement. Aha, good. Yes. Perfect. Must adjust system settings, yep. And touchscreen works. Okay, well that was interesting. So I don't quite know what's really caused that issue in the first place. All I can think is that I just didn't get one of these ribbon cables perfectly lined up. This one is very delicate and fragile, so what I need to do now is try my best to get this reassembled. I still need to get the screen that's more or less lined up. Try and get these connectors in and get this board secured with, hopefully without moving anything and causing it to go funny again. So I think we're just going to have to carefully maneuver that around there. Right, that's that one in, and let's see if we can get this one in. Question is it going to be too fragile and easily sort of cause problems if it's dropped or something? I'm not too sure. Now what we'll do is we'll pop these as a couple screws just to hold this main PCB down. If we get these in, and that at least will secure us, and then we'll try again before getting the buttons and the casing back together, and hope that we're okay. So I still don't know if there is actually a problem with the other board. It was working before I attempted to replace the screen. Okay, that seems to be in there. Alright, let's try that again. So I want to try this at different steps so we can sort of backtrack if we encounter another problem. Yep, that's still working fine. So if you do have a problem with one of these doing that, then check your ribbon cables. That's all I can think is the reason for it doing that. So just got to go ahead now and reassemble everything else. We've got these little triggers to put back on, which are they're not too bad to do, but they've got little tiny springs here and some little pegs that need to be lined up. What's that? Right trigger, that should be, is that side? Yeah, so we want left trigger. So these ones I've found, if you can kind of get the spring sort of sat in here, it's like a little groove. Get it roughly in line with the hole. Hopefully you can see that. Then we can place it through this peg. And then we just need to get this part of the spring flipped over so that it's tucked over the other side. It's like a little plastic part with a cut out in it. And so it just pops over like that, so hopefully you can see The spring just in there like so. This is the problem with these, they get the tensions, they sort of want to pull themselves back out. If you're not careful, I haven't quite got that connector on right, so let's oh, see what I mean? That one's now sprung back out again. Yeah, let's try again. Yeah, these are certainly a very fiddly little console, handheld gaming console to actually work with. And I haven't done many of these sort of repairs, but the original PSP, when that came out, I did quite a few repairs on that one after breaking the screen myself and then realising how easy it was to replace. So spent a while earning on eBay doing screen replacements. Okay, so I just got to get this other one in and then try and get the shell back on, and we'll come back and see if it still works. Okay, that's just temporarily held in place. I just want to confirm one last time that the thing still powers on. Which it does. Perfect. Now if you want to take these apart, you will need a small sort of Phillips type screwdriver, and also a very small tri-wing. I was lucky, I managed to just about find one. Where are we? A tiny little one there that seems to work. You've got a couple of hidden screws. These are underneath little rubber bits that you need to remove. That caught me out at first. So we'll just pop these back in. And there's a little black tri-wing one that needs to pop down here. I'm not 100% sure if that card slot is perfectly lined up, but I think it's okay. I did just sort of re-solder it back down following our earlier. Yeah, that looks okay. Doesn't look too bad. So this Phillips one here, you don't actually have to take out. I did take it out initially, but this is just one of the ones that goes into the just through the PCB to hold the PCB down. Hopefully I can remember which ones are which. We have got a small Phillips to go over in this corner. Like so. Then we should have two tri-wings that are over in the far corners here. And one. Over here. Now the only thing I did do with swapping over the screen, the touch screen worked okay on it originally, but it didn't. The actual display didn't work, had lines across it. So I took it out of this black one. They do have a little bezel on them that's color coded, so I had to heat that up a little bit to remove it, so that I could then transfer the white one over. It's not perfectly lined up. It's very difficult to get the bezel on. It might be easier, I suppose, to. It seems to lie more or less flush with this. I think, yeah, in hindsight, probably to take the bezel off, get the screen in, then get the bezel back on afterwards. I suppose I could probably heat that up, possibly, without taking it apart, and pry it off and then just reline it up again. So I might give that a go. So we just want to place our little rubber feet back in. I think these are identical. So just one in there and one over this side. And then we'll pop our battery back in there and secure the cover. So I'm not going to do anything with the black one. I could keep that for parts, I suppose. I've got a top screen in it if need be. But mainly that one's got a bad hinge mechanism on it. As you can see, it's damaged. It needs a new casing for it to make the hinge work. It's all broken everywhere, so not worth trying to repair that. These are not worth a lot of money, but I thought if I get one working, then that was certainly could fetch a few quid on eBay. So there we are, that's job done. Turn it on, we can confirm there both screens are working absolutely perfectly fine. So I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you soon for the next one. Cheers.